sparked and what's the dilly? Let me get to know your mind, we can dine and get tipsy. I just really wanna know how you grind and get busy. I'm an intellect, trying to find a good brain with a head full of knowledge, but all these fools lame. Let's change a few topics. Yo. Welcome back to the Life in the City podcast, episode 4 with City Life. We're back. Today's episode is going to be about purposeful relationships. All right. We want to talk about, and encourage people to understand the process for that. It's very important to understand having purposeful relationships. The episode's title today is Sharing Your Purpose. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, before we jump into the concept, I do have some news to release to you as always. And this is news that comes from the latest and greatest. It's actually early news, right? In regards to Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. As everybody knows, I'm sure by now, Kim and Kanye, they're going through a divorce. But what I can really appreciate about them as a couple is that they're still very supportive of one another. They have a total of 4 kids, and Kim took all 4 kids to celebrate the new album release for Kanye West, which I find to be very, very amazing. I think that's an awesome way to leave out of a relationship. If you can't be in a relationship, you should at least be able to acquire a friendship. So, this is basically what the concept of today's episode is in relation to. I also want to point out something else as well in the latest news. Shout out to Beyonce as well. I really feel bad for her. Looks like she had a fire at her at the Garden District mansion that's being investigated. So that's tough, super tough. But you know what? Things happen, and when you're an artist, you always got to be prepared for that. And you know what they say: more money, more problems. But we're going to go ahead and jump into today's topic of sharing your purpose and, just having an open dialogue about that. So I'll take your ear for about 25 minutes today just to kind of go over that concept and what I mean by that, okay? So we'll be talking about what that concept involves. All right. So, you know what? When it comes to a purposeful relationship, in my opinion, that in my eyes and vision means that you have someone that's on the same page that you're on. And it's not by force, it's just an automatic connection. It's an automatic relationship that is magnetically attached and pulled together without any force. So, as an example, when you meet somebody and you learn each other's likes and dislikes, oftentimes you'll put those likes and dislikes on a list to try to determine if those likes and dislikes match yours. But the problem with purposeful relationships, in my opinion, is that, sometimes we can tend to give that list too much of the benefit of the doubt. And we will find ourselves accepting some of the dislikes, even though it's not anything that would be on our like list. So at that point, it raises a red flag for whether or not that's going to be a purposeful relationship, because a purposeful relationship is when you're on the same level for purpose, or you at least respect one another's purpose and you are the hype man of each other's purpose. Now, whether that's your purpose or not, because I'm not saying that all the time likes and dislikes are going to match, But what I am saying is that those likes and dislikes are accepted. So, in other words, if I meet someone that has things on their list that they like, but it's not necessarily a like for me, in terms of something that I would do or engage in or have as part of my task in life or job or whatnot, at least I'm excited for my partner to be involved in those particular likes or dislikes. I'm excited for them. Their likes excite me, and so do their dislikes. Even if it's the opposite for me. And the thing is if I'm not happy with how you make a living or what your wishes are in life, and they differ from that of which I imagine to be how I would want to make a living, this means that we're not equal in purpose. We're just not equal in purpose. We may see eye to eye on some things, but not those that matter the most. And when it doesn't connect on things that matter the most, it becomes a very difficult challenge. Even if at first you're just sweeping it under the rug and you're accepting that person for who they are and what their purpose is. And I can honestly say that that's happened to me on multiple occasions. Not to make it sound like I've been in all these relationships. I mean, I am someone who has lacked discernment in most of my relationship experiences, but it wasn't necessarily motivated by lack of discernment, if you will. It was motivated by being a hopeless romantic, you know, and also just being a very lovable person and wanting to accept a person for who they are. But the thing that I didn't look at was what impact that would have on me. So, as an example, I was in a relationship experience that involved someone having a purpose of their own, which wasn't a purpose that was shared with me in the opening door of everything. And once we got involved and we were in a relationship for some time, I began to learn more and more and more about this person. And, because we were already together, I said, you know what? Whatever comes with this package, I'll be willing to accept and endure and just try to make the best of it, just so for sake of the relationship, things could work out and not be confrontational. But when I found out what this person's actual purpose was, I was willing to accept it, although at the end of the day, I just was not comfortable with it. It was a very uncomfortable purpose for me. It didn't move me in the right way spiritually. I was taken off guard and thrown by surprise. And in that moment, I told myself, you know what, I'll go ahead and accept this purpose because, at least the person had guts enough to share with me what their purpose was all along, right? Finally, after however amount of time it had been, them not being honest about what they actually wanted to do. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and accept this just for sake of the relationship. I'm already here now, so let's just make this happen. And I even went as far as supporting that purpose to a certain extent, to where I wanted to see it be successful for them, but at the same time, I just wasn't comfortable with the purpose. And to be completely honest with you, it being successful, I knew in the back of my mind it was only going to move me further and further apart from the relationship itself, because my heart was in it for the relationship to be successful, but my heart wasn't in it for the purpose itself. And to be quite honest with you, their heart wasn't in it for my purpose either. There was some support with what it is that I wanted to do as a purpose, which of course is being an artist and an entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur, I had, the ambition to be a part of the corporate world, corporate America, and still try and maintain a music career alongside that. And it was always my thoughts that, hey, one day my music career will take off and it'll do well, and then I'll no longer need the corporate position. And in fact, the relationship, it stated, yeah, I'm here to support you, I'm here to rock with you, boom, boom, boom. And, I got your back. But once we got involved in all the shows and recording nights, and the studio time away from home started happening, it just wasn't a good mix for the partner that I had. They did not like the idea of going out all the time and it being about me when we went out. And we went out quite a bit because I had shows a lot. So that kept us in the club environment. It kept us in the performance scene, the world of, you know, different events and things like that. And for this person's particular purpose, they didn't mind being out and involved with, events and in the club scene, because that small piece of my purpose was something that they needed to help them to, drive their purpose. But it wasn't for the right purpose. It just wasn't a good purpose to go with. But again, me just being there and being accepting, I was like, let's rock, let's try and see what we can do or whatnot. But it didn't fall through. So sadly enough, it ended up ending. I was heartbroken because I felt like basically I put a lot of my time and effort into something that didn't end up working out. But the red flags were there. It was obvious. It was clear already at the explanation of the purpose that it might not work out. So it's like I basically took myself through all of this only to end up back at square one, being single without a purpose partner, which was ideally what I was hoping to sign up for. And, you know, interestingly enough, I housed a bit of toxicity of my own throughout that process, because the toxicity kicks in where I should have known better. And I should have saw the red flags. I should have avoided those red flags, and I should have just been honest and open. But you know what it is, like, people don't like the truth. The truth hurts. And so that was my thing. I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings by saying, hey, I'm not with this purpose. I really don't like what's going on here. And so I'm going to have to leave you alone. But had I been upfront, then maybe things would have worked out differently for me and them, because it ended so tragically that I was knocked off my feet. Not in a good way. You know how you want someone to sweep you off your feet? No, I was swept off my feet, meaning like just left with an imbalance in my own life. And it was all because I attempted to try and accept a purpose that wasn't a part of my own. And in this episode today, sharing your purpose, I want to encourage all of my listeners to really pay attention to what a person's purpose is, seeing if it matches yours, seeing if it's something that you can see yourself putting up with for years and years upon years at a time without wasting someone's time. And just being mindful that if it does not fit your purpose, that it's okay to say no, and it's okay to walk away and not stay involved in something that just does not meet your needs or match up to your standards. See, in society today, we have a lot of failed marriages and relationships because no one pays attention to this. No one even, first and foremost, understands or knows what their purpose is sometimes. Sometimes we go into relationships blindly without really recognizing what our purpose is. And to be quite honest with you, it's not going to be very easy for you to host accepting someone's purpose if you don't know what your purpose is. that already causes a mix match for purpose, because you don't know what your purpose is. They know what their purpose is. Here you are just being a purpose tag along, and you're trying to get involved with something that you're not even sure of, because again, you have not even calculated or thought about what it is that you want to do for your own purpose. And when I talk about purpose relationships, please, let's not just think completely inside the box. Let's focus on the fact that purpose relationships can mean parenting, it can mean occupation, it can mean friendships, as well as relationships. It's like when you begin to work for a company, and after working for that company and putting in a lot of effort to be a good employee, you find that your value isn't being seen, and you're being driven to work harder than what you're getting paid. That is outside of purpose, right? Because you didn't sign up to work harder and get paid less. You didn't sign up to work harder and get paid less. You signed up to work and get paid and make more and make as much as you can based on how you perform and what you bring to the table. But if you are working for a company that doesn't realize that that's your purpose, it starts to get rocky. And eventually you start to dislike what you're doing. If not, you become disliked in the process of trying to do what you're doing, or you're just not accepted completely. And that happens across the board. And unfortunately, it happens in all facets of relationships, from being a daughter, a son, a brother, a sister, an uncle, an aunt, a cousin. You know, some people's purpose just does not match. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't respect whom you're in a relationship with, regardless of what relationship it is. It just means that your purpose does not align and it does not match up. And I'm so very happy that I've reached a level of maturity to understand this at this age. Because moving forward in my life, I would much rather remain single than to mix and mingle with something that is not a part of my purpose, or something that I wouldn't be willing to accept for someone else's purpose. Because truly, I would want to accept someone for who they are and what they bring to the table, regardless of what it is. And I'd want us to be able to roll with the punches and do what we got to do to make sure that those purposes are supported, even if we're doing two different things. You know, it's funny. I had someone recently say, as advice, not to date an entrepreneur. And I challenged that advice in saying, I don't agree with that. And I did say, try telling that to the president and the first lady, or try telling that to, some of the actors and actresses that date one another, or, there's restaurant owners who are husband and wives. Those are entrepreneurs. They're laying down every night having the same conversation. That's a purpose. They both share. The first lady and the president, that's a purpose. They both share. And some of us do not even realize or recognize what our purpose is until we're put into it. And then all of a sudden, we recognize just how good we are at it. And we do it and we roll with it. And the person that we are with are 1,000, 1,000,000% with us and on board. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful experience. And that's not to say that it's going to be all peaches and cream, because there's mishaps, there's downturns, there's misunderstandings in every situation that comes up in our lives. But the fact of the matter is, if we know how to address it and we know how to approach it with kindness and understanding to be able to evolve together, it'll work. And again, that goes for working for a company. When you work for a company, you're not going to shake hands with the CEO most of the majority of the time if it's a corporation. But you will shake hands and have a conversation with your leader, your supervisor. And if that supervisor understands your purpose and what you came in and signed up for, you're going to have an amazing experience being an employee under that leadership, even if you don't last with the company because you end up getting placed into something else as a purpose. So, in my opinion, you can date an entrepreneur. Two entrepreneurs are very well able to match one another as long as they have the same driven drive and purpose. Sure, there might be arguments, there might be distance at times when you're trying to do what you got to do to make your money, of course. But you also have to be willing to give a person their independent space to do what they have to do for themselves. Hence, them being able to do it for you, for the whole us. And in my opinion, that's when things work out the best, when those things match. So, today I just wanted to drop some jewels on you, just to kind of share with you what I mean by purpose partnerships, sharing your purpose with someone, and being equal, just respecting someone else for who they are and what they bring to the table while they respect you and who you are and what you bring to the table. The first song that you heard playing when we came in on the show today was Intellect, produced by DJ Bombay on the Minority Stories project that I released. So please feel free to check that out. We'll actually exit the episode today with that song. And I certainly appreciate you guys rocking with me today. It has been more than a blessing to be here sharing this knowledge and information that of which I feel would make a purpose partner. There will be more to come. Please drop some comments, like, share. Let's talk about it. In fact, I can bring it up on the next episode and just kind of address what you thought about it. But I thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Life in the City podcast here with City Life, sharing your purpose.
Things first, I'm city, proceed to speak with me. If you're looking for a chick that's smart, then what's the dilly? Let me get to know your mind, we can dine and get tipsy. I just really wanna know how you grind and get busy. I'm an intellect, trying to find a good brain with a head full of knowledge, but all these fools lame. Let's change a few topics, not aim to be monotonous. You came with 2 pockets, I came to be honest. Let me find out just where your heart is. Don't be crazy, don't be lazy and lethargic. I'm a hard chick sometimes to get along with, cause I'm an artist on the road and that's a hard gig. Before we start this, I need for you to know that I'm making moves and refuse to do holdbacks. Success is what I picture like a Kodak. That's a frame where you and me, you wanna post that? I'm an intellect, don't mean to disrespect. I've been looking forward to my new love connect. So let me come correct and be a bit direct. Let me get to know your mind cause I'm an intellect. I'm an intellect, don't mean to disrespect. I've been looking forward to my new love connect. So let me come correct and be a bit direct. Let me get to know your mind cause I'm an intellect. Collaborate on your passion, your fashion is like a genius.
Thanks again for tuning in today. Life in the City podcast with City Life, sharing your purpose. Be sure to check out the website, citylifemusic.com, CITYLYFEMUSIC. Got a bundle package there available for you to cop the CD, Minority Stories, as well as the recently released album, Definition of a Queen. Those 2 albums are very good. 18 tracks on DOAQ. 5 tracks on Minority Stories. Rock with me. Get your t-shirt, get your CD, and let's get it Peace, love, happiness, and blessings to all.